Welcome back to the B Shine. I am Brian, your host. Today, we are representing New Jersey heavy. We are in Atlantic County right now, near Atlantic City. I'm from New Jersey. Our special guest here is from New Jersey.
Yeah.
All the way from Patterson, we got Bad Lungz.
Lungy.
Welcome. Welcome to the channel, man.
I appreciate you for having me, man. Word up.
Man. I hear Patterson has a lot of nice big houses, white picket fences. Everybody's got dogs in the family. What's it like up there?
Nice backyards, deers, petunias, all kind of stuff in Patterson, man.
They got fields to go like deer hunting, bird watching, all that stuff. That's man. Patterson, New Jersey with one T.
Patterson is an interesting place, man. It's a nice gumbo as far as like different cultures that lives in Patterson, but it's historic. They kept a lot of the historic buildings that was built up. And they even got Great Falls. I think it's like a landmark now, official landmark, but it's the trenches, man. It's the home of the trench babies, man. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely is.
Yeah.
But it's a cool thing about New Jersey is that we have everything. We have cities, we have farmland, lakes, beaches, inner city, pretty much everything. So even high taxes, so...
Yeah, man.
It's all good. But let us know, for people who are not familiar, who is Bad Lungz, what you're all about.
Yeah, man, you know, born and raised in Jersey. I lived everywhere in Jersey, from Long Branch to Red Bank, Irvington. I mean, I lived everywhere, but I'm just an artist from New Jersey, holding it down, and producer, artist, creative. And I've been doing this thing for a long time, man, you know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing the way I'm feeling right now. I'm back in love with it again, you know what I'm saying? Not that I ever fell out of love with it, but I'm loving it more and more day by day, you heard? So I'm loving this thing we call hip-hop, man.
That's what's up, man. Well, let's go a little bit through some of the timeline. How did you come up in music? Where was your first kind of exposure, and what got you really inspired to start creating?
As a youngster, man, music just been around my household, man. I mean, my dad was heavy, like, he was like I would say he would moonlight as a DJ. I wouldn't say he was out here, you know what I mean, like cut master or anything, but he would moonlight as a DJ. See, I'm an Army baby as well, so he moved around a lot, and you know, that's how I started listening to music, just as a young lad. But he wasn't deep into hip hop. It was more like salsa, merengue. I mean, he would listen to New Jack Swing. That's why I got an affinity for New Jack Swing. That's about as close he would get to hip hop, you know what I'm saying? So I grew up listening to that. And then my uncles, you know what I'm saying? When I go to my grandmother's house, my uncles would be listening to hip hop. I got one uncle that swears and died by Kool Moe Dee, and I got another uncle that swears and died by KRS-One. You know what I'm saying? So you already know what type time I was on. Then I got another uncle that just liked groups. He was listening to like Milk and Giz, all the groups around that time. So that's how I got introduced to hip hop, was through my uncles. And then being a youngin', man, just around it, loving it, reciting rhymes, replacing their names with my name, you know, that type vibe. Yeah.
Your uncles, they did their own verses before verses was a thing?
It definitely was a lot of unofficial verses in the crib around the holidays, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, I think the KRS-One, my uncle who rocked KRS-One would intrigue me more because it was more closer to me. Kool Moe Dee was a lot of, how would you say it? It was a little not past tense, I don't like saying it, but around that time, you talking about late 80s, early 90s, so by that time, Kool Moe Dee, I don't even think was making too many records around that time. KRS still was like sprinkling records here and there, but they was going to the classics. You know, so my uncle would play when he battled Brucey B, and my other uncle would play Listen to My 9mm, you know what I'm saying, all that. So that's how I would go, you know what I'm saying?
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So how did you end up start making your own music? What were some of the, I guess, earlier times of you either producing or rapping?
I had a thing for poetry and like journalism. Like a lot of people don't know. When I was young in like elementary school and like junior high, I was in creative writing classes, and I was supposed to be groomed to be like a journalist or whatever. But me being ignorant, I never pursued it because I always thought journalism, some type of journalism was too close to like being police or whatever. Like you got to investigate detective style. So that never was my thing. But poetry is really what I fell in love with first, you know what I'm saying? Because in school, that's all I would learn was like poetry. I was like haikus and stuff like that. And then pretty soon I started learning that that's no different than what the artist I'm hearing is doing. To me, that's poetry too. I mean, it's coming from a different lens, a different cadence, but nonetheless, it's poetry to me. So
I always thought poetry was like super corny until I saw like Def Poetry Jam.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, this can be cool. Like you can actually make some like.
I ain't gonna lie, I started messing with poetry because the classes that always had poetry and it had some fine women in it, you know what I'm saying? All the bitches was in the poetry classes. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing poetry, man. You know what I'm saying? Poetry. I would do poetry and home ec just to get close to something. You know what I'm talking about?
People have done a lot worse things for women. So it's not a bad thing to start with.
Word up.
Were you always like a solo artist, or were you making music with some of your friends? What was like one of the first songs that you actually made that you were like, all right, this is an official song?
Okay, yeah. So my pops knew this guy that had like, you know, an unofficial studio in his dorm in the barracks or whatever. And he paid him a couple $, and he coached me how to do it. So I had a beat. I don't know where. No, matter of fact, he made the beat. So he made the beat, and I rapped on the beat. And then what I heard from the beat, because I heard the beat first, took it home, wrote to it, then came back, and we did the song. And what I heard to it was, "Why you do that, fo? Why you do that, fo? Why you do that, fo?" So that, mind you, this is mad. This is like, this is decades ago, man. I don't remember the rhyme or nothing. I just remember that hook or whatever. And that's how the bug bit me, man. You know what I'm saying? From then on, I just started creating. I always came in creating from a song aspect. I would hop in ciphers around the neighborhood or whatever, building with the God bodies, and the God bodies were building, and it would always turn into either a cipher, like a lyrical cipher, or a cipher about building on lessons and just daily, you know what I mean, daily affirmations or whatever. But yeah, I would freestyle and do that type thing. And then once I started writing my rhymes down, that's when I got more into it. So yeah, I would say I'm always a solo artist. It wasn't until I got a little bit older that I started linking with people and then forming groups and stuff.
Is there like a specific moment you remember when you got feedback from people, when you were like, oh, like people are really like feeling this. I could actually take this serious now.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I was in a group. A lot of people don't even know this. Shout out my boy Jesse, man.
I was in exclusives here right now.
Yeah. I was in a group in Long Branch called Illegal Thoughts. They probably still rocking, or it's probably different members now, but I was one of the original members of Illegal Thoughts with my man Jess, and we would just go in his crib and just formulate different ideas and songs. We didn't have nothing concrete. We didn't have no beats, no beat machine, no nothing. We would just take instrumentals that we could find, whether it's like at that time we was going to like vinyl stores, and if you'll buy a single at that time, the vinyl would have the dirty version, radio edit, instrumental 9 times out of 10. So we would just be rocking off stuff like that. And on his turntable with the mic, you know, something like how we doing right now, you know what I'm saying? I'll be like this, doing what we doing. But that's how I started formulating my craft early on. And I was getting response from like neighborhood love, you know what I mean? Local neighborhood people tell me, oh, y'all nice, like y'all actually nice, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all should keep working on it. So that gave me confirmation that I should just keep trying and going at it, you know what I'm saying? But that's early on. You're talking about a kid that's like, you know what I mean, anywhere from 13, 15, around there. From my teenage years, my hardcore teenage years. Because in my teenage years, I lived between Long Branch, Red Bank, and Patterson.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you, if you had a crew in Long Branch, that's kind of like by the beach.
Yeah.
And in Patterson's is at least an hour away, an hour and a half maybe.
For sure.
So you had people out there that you knew. So
Yeah. I mean, man, I could always call it 4 boroughs in Monmouth County, man. Ain't nothing sweet in none of them. I mean, I know it sounds sweet. People go there for like summertime to go to the beach or whatever, but you can get left anywhere, man. You can get left in Long Branch B, real talk. There's some goony goons out there, man. There's some real solid individuals. I met some of the most solid people in them areas, man. Asbury, Neptune, Long Branch, Red Bank, especially Red Bank. Between Red Bank and Long Branch was mainly my domain. But yeah, there's some solid brothers. I mean, that just confirmed that it ain't where you from, is where you at, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's solid people everywhere. So don't get caught up by the outer appearance, man. You know what I'm saying?
Always got a choice. You could pick up the surfboard, or you could pick up something else.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. 9 times out of 10, if it's a surfboard round, I'm trying to look for the weed. You know what I'm saying? Bad lungs.
What would you say is how you would define your writing style as far as like the message? You know, how intricate and serious do you take the writing?
Oh, I take it serious, man. Like as far as like when you dissect them, I'm that type of writer, the way you have to dissect it if you choose to. A lot of people like surface things that just at the surface and that's it. However you understand it. But I like entendres, double entendres, stuff like that too. So, but my main message that I get across is like just slipping you that good vitamin under the rice. You know, when kids don't want to eat they vegetables or whatever, you slide it under the rice so they can eat it. That's basically what my music does, man. I mean, if you hear it on a surface level, you would think it's just all negative and hood rhetoric and stuff like that. But I always give you the good and bad. I don't ever say, yo, we getting money, we balling without lawyer fees or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's always the yin and yang with my rhymes. So
yeah, I remember the first time I was able to like swallow a Tylenol pill because I couldn't swallow pills when I was a kid. It was like it was in like a spoonful of applesauce.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's how they got you.
So you giving them the Tylenol with the applesauce?
Yeah. From your perspective, yeah, I'm giving them slipping them the Tylenol and the applesauce. You're
getting that medicine. You know, you mentioned about the passion has not left since you were young.
Right.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, so much has changed in music, in society, and just the way we digest content and information.
For sure.
And I actually think that music is taking a hit due to, you know, people listening to less music because there's so much streaming and like podcasts. And all
they're listening less.
They're listening less because there's just so much other entertainment out there as well.
That's true.
How have you managed to maintain your same level of passion for it? For me, it kind of goes in waves.
Okay.
You know, in and out. And sometimes couple months I'm like real into it, and then other times I'm just all about like, you know, podcasts, or I get sucked into like a show on Netflix or something.
Right. I mean, to me, it's life, man. Hip hop is life to me, and it's so many tentacles that go with hip hop, like that stretch out and become this thing. So, for instance, like fashion is one of the pivotal things with hip hop. You know, sports is the cousin of hip hop. You can't really watch a game or see no kind of advertisement dealing with NBA and NFL without hip hop entrenched all over it. So that's another aspect. And just creating something from scratch and seeing it blossom to something that like people can enjoy and watch and see and hear. You know what I'm saying? That's the beautiful thing about it. You know what I'm saying? And I can't see me never getting tired of that aspect. You know what I'm saying? I might get tired of like the business side of certain things, but the creative side of it, you know what I'm saying? Creating from scratch and just seeing a reaction is one of a kind.
Do you like a lot of new stuff, or do you like mostly some of the kind of traditional hip hop that we grew up on, or is it a mix of everything?
Oh yeah, I like all kind of stuff, man. Yeah, I like new stuff, old stuff, but I listen to a lot of new stuff, man. I'm guessing you referring to like the new subgenres of hip hop right now.
Yeah,
like the drill, trap, and stuff like that.
Not necessarily. For me, it's
Afro
like
beats.
It's like 95% like nostalgic stuff from like. I actually did a video on like my top 20 albums, top 20 commercial and top 20 underground, and both lists ended up falling in the range of 98 to 2005. And I thought about it. I was like, that's still what I listened to from that like 7-year era. Is like all the stuff that I loved. And if I'm listening to new stuff now, it does have to have some level of like that boom bap.
Right.
Like I really don't listen to any songs that like don't have drums in it.
I got you. Oh, you don't like the drumless beats?
Yeah, very little auto tune.
Okay.
It's got to be like that. So if you're talking about like newer artists that I would listen to, it would be like Token or Chris Rivers or maybe like Snow the Product.
Okay, spill this.
Yeah, so yeah, it's always got to be lyrics, and it's got to be like very like well enunciated, not really just kind of like whispering or whatever the hell they're doing. So for me, it's always has to have a certain foundation to it. So I do listen to new stuff, but it's like very few and far between.
It's very vast for me, but yet linear at the same time. So to like try to break it down, I'm more like I'm stuck in between Morris Day and Method Man. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just in between that. So if you was to make, you know what I mean, if you was to lock it in, Morris Day over here and Method Man right here, anything in between those elements, I'm not gonna name all the artists. That's too many. Too many sounds and palettes of that type of thing that I just explained. That's where I'm in between. That's my bag. Now, do I listen to new stuff and some of the stuff do I like? Yeah, I mean, hot is hot. It don't matter what it is, new, old, different genre. It could be rock and roll. I mean, when I go to bars, some of the joints I want to hear be like some rock and roll or some type of like turn up. You know what I mean? But whatever, like.
Yeah.
But it just depends on the setting as well, type setting. I mean, but me personally, as a preference, to just best explain it, I'm stuck in between Morris Day and Method Man.
Yeah,
that's good. Cal and
I wasn't even thinking about the other genres because I listen to like sometimes more than hip hop. I listen to like light rock, like classic rock.
Right,
like,
right.
I was saying Fleetwood Mac
or
the Spinners or the OJs, stuff like that. Like sometimes I'm like heavier on that than hip hop.
Yeah.
So, but I don't make any of that music. It's just I got into soul music, you know, from listening to. Actually, this is a crazy story.
Some producer joint involved, right?
Yeah, something like that. What I used to, it was like all hip hop up and through like 2007, and then I was like, after graduating college, I was a waiter for a while. Like while I was like trying to get a job in the real world.
Okay.
And I was working at this one restaurant. It was like this chain restaurant that they had this radio station that would play every day. And I would always hear there were these like soul songs that had samples that I knew from hip hop songs.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, this is like, I remember one. Yeah, I remember one from like Lewis. It was a Lewis Logic song. I think it's called "The Rest" that had this little sample in it, and it was like the original version. And I was like, this is a great song, and it reminds me of Lewis Logic. So I started hearing more and more of those songs, and it was kind of like the reverse effect where
right.
the samples got me into the soul music because I liked the sample so much, and then I just realized that soul music was just not better, but just like incredible on its own.
Yeah, I mean,
and I graduated to that because when I was a kid, I was always like, I don't like that old stuff. But now I'm like, all that 60s, 70s, even 80s is just like some of the best stuff ever to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about home cooked meals versus like microwave and stuff like that. So all that stuff that we sampled as hip hop producers from the early 70s and 80s, those is like actual instrumentation of Ben. They ain't have what we have now. So anything you hear in there, somebody had to really go do that. You know what I'm saying? Towards the 80s, they started getting synth bass. And you ain't really had too many people in the room. But 70s for sure, it was drummer. For drummer, you hear drums, drummer for that. You hear a tambourine or something, somebody doing that. Like everything you hear, somebody is accountable for that. So that's why it just sounds so, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's soul. Talk to your soul, man. You know what I'm saying?
I heard a story once about the band The Eagles for that song Hotel California, where I think one of the members made everybody, the band, like practice that song or like the solo from it for like 30 days, like an entire month before they got it right, and then it came out.
Okay, yeah. But
I mean, as you can see, it was worth it because of how big that song was.
Whatever you gotta do to get it done, man.
But I don't see anybody spending 30 days practicing a melody these days. I mean, I don't know. It could be possible,
I mean, some people still waiting for detox. How many years is that? You know what I'm saying?
Imagine Dre been like making beats for Detox every day since it was first announced.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Then it would be worth it. But who knows? Who knows what's going on over there?
Yeah, shout out, man.
Yeah. So what's one of the projects that you've done that you are like most proud of, or even a song or a project that like has some real like significant meaning to you, and just kind of like elaborate on that?
Definitely hands down, 40 Below. You know what I'm saying? I dropped a album 2021 called 40 Below. And it's just incredible, man. You know what I'm saying? I produced it. Fully produced by me. And the concept of 40 Below is just that on both scales, whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius, that's where they meet at. It's the only time they meet together. So that was kind of like the metaphor of me, like, meeting myself as a producer and rapping on my beats and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was the whole thing with that, and that's why I named it 40 Below. And cold weather is just one of my favorite weathers. I mean, beyond popular belief, I know that's not a popular thing, but I love cold weather versus hot weather. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why.
You probably know why. It's just more comfortable to put layers on than to not be able to take anything off.
Right.
This is perfect right now because we're in like kind of like hoodies right now. Perfect weather season in the fall.
Don't get me wrong, I'm tropical, baby. I'm Dominican now. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it wrong. I'm just saying, me, if I had to choose one or whatever, I would choose the cold. I just love cold weather.
But if you could meet it 40 below.
Oh, yeah. If we could both meet at the same scale.
Because it's like there's always the question, it's always the extremes. But the real answer is like, I like both weathers, just not an extreme of either.
Exactly. There you go. You said it perfect. You couldn't say it more profoundly.
I try. I'm a scholar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What are you working on or continuing to work on as far as just being an artist, and what are you pushing towards as far as goals? You know, we're coming up 2023 now. So what do you have goal-wise?
Just to produce more, man. I'm probably gonna lean more into producing and get on that side. And I mean like producing, like even doing movie scores and stuff like that. That's what I really, really gonna throw my hat in. And instrumentation of it, like getting more knowledge of reading music and stuff like that. Yeah, I want to get into. I'm gonna definitely get into that. Not want to. I am gonna get into that. And more albums on the way. I mean, I'm working with a joint album, me and Trey 8. He's also a rapper / producer. So how that go? That album is half produced by me, half produced by him, and then we both rapping on it or whatever.
Nice.
So that's coming. We ain't named it none yet, but it's me and the artist out of Queens called Trey 8. My man Stars Coleman cooking up. So, you know, I'm always have some kind of instrumentation on that. Shout out to him and the whole mob over there. And yeah, just cooking up, man. Just cooking up, keep cooking, you know what I'm saying? And got a movie coming. I don't know when it's going to drop. By the time they see this, it'll probably be out already. But either way, we got a movie coming called The L Rod, and that's dope. That was directed and written by Stars Coleman, so look out for that. And yeah, man, just more work, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, we do be shine. We just working, baby.
I know a little bit. What's going on in the world that you're interested in as far as just like current events?
Everybody always talk about how the internet affected music, but the internet affected everything. The world, like even how we consume day-to-day information. So I don't know. Like I'm like, phew, man, who knows? Like who know we'd be in the middle of a pandemic or war, lose gas. At one point we ain't had no gas. Then this year wasn't no turkeys for Thanksgiving. Like you just never know. It's so crazy right now that you'll wake up day to day and not being surprised by anything you hear at this moment. Like you can hear some of the wildest, like in the 90s, you'd have heard like, yo, y'all gonna have a pandemic and people gonna be dying and you can't even touch stuff. You know, you'd be like, what? And if you'd have heard that in the 90s, you'd be like, what are you talking about? Now, if we hear something like that, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Just throw your gloves on. See you later, kid. You know what I'm saying? You got sanitizer? You got Lysol? All right. You know, just don't cough. Stay back. You know what I'm saying? Wash your hands. Wash your ass. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't think nothing will surprise us. We're so desensitized as a people right now. I don't think there's nothing that can happen in this world that'll have you just sit back for 5 minutes and regroup and say, wow, what the fuck are we doing?
I think about how we just are so attached to our phones and people can't like be in a social setting like without their phone.
Right.
Like you go out to dinner with someone and they're like on their phone on Instagram or something like that.
Yeah.
And
you can't detach.
Yeah, and it's like for kids, like they can't sit still or behave unless they got an iPad in front of them.
Right.
So like that stuff's really crazy to me, and it's just like it's kind of scary to see what's going to happen to people because we're so reliant on this technology and all. So I kind of want to go back to, where you just put your phone away, put it away for the weekend, and just enjoy your time, but really be able to like sit down and have like genuine conversations with people without all the distraction.
Yeah, I think we losing that. That's what actually becoming an art now that we watching. That's why a lot of long form media has been so entertaining because when we can watch people that can do that on a consistent basis. It's entertainment now. It's not it's not as cool as just going to the bar, buying a drink, chopping it up with somebody. Hey, you want a drink? And then call it a day. Now, if we see that in real time or whatever, or on the tube or on our phone, it's entertainment now. We can't do that because all these social medias that made us so unsocial, we kind of like don't even know how to do that anymore.
Like people walk into a bar and have a conversation with each other, but that's a TV show or a movie, and we actually don't do that ourselves.
Exactly.
Speaking of diseases, what'd you think about Nas's new album, King Disease 3?
Oh, I like what you did there.
Yeah.
I love the King. I love all 4 projects he did with Hit Boy so far. So all the King Diseases and Magic. This one was fire though. This one was one of those ones. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, Nas is just, again, poet. Nas. We was talking about poetry earlier. That's a true poet at heart. The way he finds them pockets and them topics and the way he does it so poetically, man. I mean, at this stage, like some people can't. Man, listen, leave that boy alone, man. You know what I'm saying? Nasir, leave him alone.
I like that a lot. I do have a pet peeve on King's Disease 3 though, because he's an older guy.
Yeah.
And there's a couple songs where he's rapping using like young slang. And he'll say like LOL, and he'll say like these other like slang words. I'm trying to think if there's others, but like that sounds really corny to me. Like he's forcing it and all. And I just was like, man, I just want you to rap like you're Nas, right? And not just be trying to talk like you're, like 18 years old or something like that.
I got you.
But otherwise, it's beats and rhymes are great. Just when I hear little like things like that, it throws me off, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like. They was pretty skeptical about when he started linking with Hit Boy, was how the beats was going to sound or how he was going to sound on Hit Boy's production. So I don't know where it came from, like the whole conversation of the narrative of like Nas with beats. I don't know, but this album, KD, to talk about KD3, it was dope, man. And then I like the new record he just put out with 21 Savage.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's called One Mic, One Gun. That's pretty dope. And they was like kind of like sparring lyrically a little bit. I mean, he can't spar with Nas, but you know what I mean. For the record's sake, they went like and did like a 4-bar here, 8-bar there type thing. So that song was actually fire, man. So
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, check that out. But yeah, I mean, Nas is Nas, man, and Nas is showing. That's one thing I love about Nas and Busta Rhymes and E40, the Westmore, Mount Westmore. Like all these guys are pretty much in their later years, and they're showing you how to get old in hip hop, man. Because that was, I think, the generation before them dropped the ball on that. Like they started feeding into like the politics of the label. Don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? It's not as making music and doing things today is real way more accessible than it was in their time. But a lot of them did drop the ball and they didn't get older with this for whatever reason. Like I'm pretty sure it had a lot to do with like politics, deals, and labels just moving on to the younger and next thing. But now that we're able to do it and be self-sufficient, you will see a lot of people grow older, like how the rock and roll stars grow older, how you could be 73 in rock and roll and still on tour making new albums and nobody's calling you old school, you know what I'm saying? To where like now shit, you get 35, you pretty much about to be played, you considered a throwback, you know what I'm saying? Or that's like the early old school throwback. It's like first you're hot, you're young, you're new, you're sophomore, then you throwback, then you're just straight old school now, and then you know what I'm saying, you ancient.
Well, everybody has a different definition of old school. Same with like golden era.
Right, it's man different words that mean one thing. Word,
but
so when people say golden era, that's automatically putting your brain in like, oh yeah, that old school hip hop.
Well, I also think that there are certain artists that without a label, they don't really want to be doing all this independent stuff on their own.
Nah, for sure. I mean, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, like, now that we have who we have, because let's be honest, Nas is not rapping for money. You know what I'm saying? He's not doing none of this for monetary gain. Like, he got, from what I hear and see in the news that they just make on, he has mad different smart investment scenes with like a lot of the older artists right now that are doing their thing. They're not doing this to make money. They're making money from it, but it's not moving the needle in their lifestyle. Let me just say that.
They don't have to do it.
Right. They're doing it for the straight love, and that's a beautiful thing.
I will give him credit. He had some spectacular lines in that album. The one that comes to mind was when he was like, sometimes I text Hova like it's not over.
Right. It's still on. Yeah. Playing Ether on title, word up.
What else should we know about you before we wrap it up?
Man,
what else is on your mind that you want people to know?
Just know, I'm always be creative, man, and you're always gonna get artistry out of me. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes people just want me to rap for a million miles an hour, but like I told you, I'm stuck in between Morris Day and Method Man, so don't be surprised if you catch me singing with a perm or something, you know what I'm saying? With some bell bottoms coming through, you know what I'm saying? With something spectacular on the arm, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm just a creative dude, man, and I want the world to know, to know and see and understand and just take what I'm doing, because what I'm doing at the end of the day is art, and however you receive it, you receive it, you know what I'm saying?
How'd you get the name Bad Lungz? I've also heard you be referred to as like Frankie Bad Lungz.
Right.
So where did the name come from? I'm assuming it's because you smoke a lot and it's not because you got asthma.
Nah, thank God. Like, my siblings got asthma. I don't. I got a ton of monikers, man, but my main moniker is Bad Lungz, what formerly as Frankie Bad Lungz. To make a long story short, my man Meeks in Long Branch. If you from Long Branch, you know Meeks or heard of Meeks. My man Meeks was always a jokester, funny looking dude. But shout out Meeks, man. Meeks, if you, I mean, I don't even know if bro alive, whatever. I haven't seen him in a minute, but shout out to him. He was jonesing on me one day. You know, jonesing, playing the dozens, cracking, whatever you call it. You know what I'm saying? He was doing that. And they older than me. I was young. I'm younger, like teenage. Like I said, these are older guys, like 20s, early 19. They older. And I'm coming around, they talking or whatever, doing what they do, you know, neighborhood stuff. And I'm coming around, you know, trying to smoke. And they like, nah, like, you too little. Like, imagine somebody, you smoking a cigarette at 13. Oh, can I get some of that with you in? You're like, what? No. Like, no. So I'm like going around, like, yo, let me get some weed. My man was like, nah, man, get out of here, man. You baby Bad Lungz type, get out of here. So everybody started laughing. And it just stuck with me. They was calling me Baby Bad Lungz. And then after that, I just took the baby off and put Frankie in front of it, because Frankie is my name or whatever. And then after that, I just straight took the Frankie off and put Bad Lungz. Because Frankie Bad Lungz was kind of like, it felt too extra to me. Like I was trying to be a mobster or like a character. You know what I mean? Like, even though Bad Lungz is not my birth name or whatever, but I'm not trying to be a character when I rap. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you from a perspective of my life or whatever. I'm not like trying to be like, you know how Kool Keith got mad different. I'm not trying to do that. So that's what Frankie Bad Lungz felt to me. So I took the Frankie off, and Just kept Bad Lungs. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You might have to bring back Baby Bad Lungs again.
Yeah, like a younger.
Show 'em that new style. Because that guy.
Baby Bad Lungs probably be doing drill or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is sturdy out here.
Yeah, why not? So cool, man. Well, I appreciate you for coming out, doing the interview.
No, I appreciate you for having me, B-Sean. Word up.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think about this interview. If you'd like to see more of Frankie or of Bad Lungs, I should say.
Yeah. You about to bring.
Yeah. I got all the monikers mixed up in my head too. But yeah, thanks again, everybody, and see you next time. Peace.